Hi, I'm Anna Hoffman, and welcome to this special edition of Data Exposed, where we are live. That's correct. We are streaming live from actually all over the world to multiple channels. We're so excited to have you here today. We're going to be talking about managed instance. We brought, I think, 6 or 7 people on today, so it's going to be a great show. Again, super excited to have you all. If you have questions or comments throughout the stream, feel free to post them on Learn TV, Twitter, or YouTube, or Twitch, or wherever you're streaming from, and we'll try to answer them either via chat or live on the show. So without further ado, I want to bring on Borko, who is going to be helping me host this episode. Borko, thanks so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your team?
Thank you, Anna, for having us in this show. My name is Borko Novakovic, and I'm leading the team of program managers who are responsible for designing and developing Azure SQL Managed Instance. I'm with Microsoft for more than 9 years, and now also I've been part of SQL Managed Instance team since its beginning for 4 years now. Prior to Microsoft, I work as a .NET developer and technical leader, and also SQL developer. So SQL is really in my blood, and I'm happy to have also a couple of members of my team here live.
Awesome. Thanks, Borko. We're going to go through introductions for all of our awesome speakers today. The first one I'm going to bring up is Mladen.
Thanks, Anna, and hello, everyone. My name is Mladen Andzic. I'm a program manager in Azure SQL team for the last 4 years, with 15 more years of a previous experience in the financial industry. Within Azure SQL Managed Instance, I'm focusing on the SQL Server compatibility and business continuity.
Awesome. Thanks, Mladen. And we're going to learn lots more about the compatibility and BCDR in this session. Next, we have Sasha.
Hello, everyone. I've been in SQL team for 10 years, and I've joined the program management team this summer. I'm working on distributed transactions and on data mobility scenarios. Thank you.
Awesome. We're happy to have you, and I think everyone's going to be looking forward to what you have to say and show us related to DTC. Next, we have Dani.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dani Ljepava. I've been with the Managed Instance team for the past 3 years. I'm a program manager within the team. Before Microsoft, I have about 15 years experience working in the industry from the Silicon Valley, US. My focus is on hybrid data mobility, high availability, backup and restore, and intelligence. And thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. And you work on just a few things, it seems like. Next, we have Srdan.
Hello, Anna. Hello, folks. Glad to be here with you tonight. My name is Srdan Bozovic. I'm program manager with SQL Managed Instance team, focused on networking and security aspects. And I would be glad to share some things around that during today's session.
Awesome. Yeah, I think everyone's going to be looking to you to learn about the security topics. And I have a few questions myself, so we'll see if we can squeeze those in. And finally, last but certainly not least, we have Uros here. Welcome.
Hi, Anna. Thank you. I am Uros Milanovic. I joined this super team like mid last year, and my focus area is instance CRUD and instance management operations.
Awesome. So as you all watching can see, we have a ton of great resources here today. The folks that are actually building the Managed Instance product. So I think you're really going to enjoy today's show. So be sure to stay with us and learn from each of these program managers throughout the session. What we're going to do is we're going to actually take a step back, and Borko and I are going to discuss the Azure SQL family, because maybe you've been with us and hearing a lot about Azure SQL for a while, but maybe you're kind of new and wondering what Managed Instance actually is. So Borko, do you think you could help us understand what the Azure SQL family is and where Managed Instance falls into that?
Sure, Anna, yes. So basically, on this very slide, you can see the place and position of Managed Instance within a wider Azure SQL portfolio. And Azure SQL is really represent a portfolio of SQL products running in Azure, offered in 2 big or major deployment and control models: infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, right? And in infrastructure as a service, we do have SQL Server and virtual machines, whereas in platform as a service, we do have two deployment models, managed instance being one of them, and Azure SQL database. Now, of course, with Azure SQL, our SQL customers can do pretty much anything, starting from lifting and shifting their application, modernizing existing application in the cloud, or developing new applications in the cloud. As you can see on this diagram, managed instance is really centered between the virtual machines and Azure SQL database. And there is a reason for that, because managed instance was designed to be the best place for SQL customers who are looking to migrate and modernize existing application in the cloud. And as such, SQL Managed Instance tried to bring best of the both worlds. In one hand, it is really a rich surface area of SQL Server and high application compatibility. And on the other hand, it is a really set of very powerful platform as a service capabilities that can help our customers to get rid of the database management and focus their time and energy on high quality tasks. What is also important, being a part of Azure SQL family, Managed Instance actually shares with them the set of tools and APIs. And basically, if you were using SQL database or if you're using SQL Server until now, you'll find yourself familiar with Managed Instance. Now, typically, our customers ask the question, okay, in Azure SQL, there are many options. Which of these options I should use, and particularly when I should use SQL Managed Instance. So we in a product group came up with a relatively simple model, and we think that only two questions our customers should be asking themselves when they deciding which option to use. The first question is that, what is the level of control that our customer need to have over the database layer, right? And if customers prefer to manage directly their databases and have the full control, including the operating system level access, strict control over the SQL version, controlling the patching and upgrade cycles, then obviously the right answer for our customers should be SQL Server on Azure VMs. But yes, with the control, there is also comes a lot of responsibility, and we've seen that many of our customers are actually willing to delegate management of their databases to Microsoft, and then use their time and focus to improve their application, their business, and their workloads. And if that's the case, then in Microsoft Managed World, the next question our customers should be asking themselves is, hey, what your application require, what capabilities of SQL are needed. And if your application is really relying on a rich surface area of SQL Server, including the instance level capabilities, and we put a list here on this slide, like native restore and log shipping and cross-database transactions and queries, or .NET integration or transaction replication and such, then really, yes, you should be going with Azure SQL Managed Instance. But if your application dependency on the database feature set is much more narrow or simpler or scope to the database, then SQL database should be an option good to go for you from the day one. I hope this clarified a question that our customers might have.
Awesome, thanks, Borko. I really like this because we're trying to make it really simple. And you know, when I talk to Bob Ward about Managed Instance, he always says Managed Instance is going to allow you to get the best of SQL Server plus the best of like a managed platform as a service offering. So I think that's really cool. And I think for our SQL Server folks, this is great news for them because they can kind of remove some of that management overhead and focus on the things that they actually want to spend their time on. And today, you know, I think there's been a lot of announcements over the past few months. So we're going to spend a lot of time diving into the new capabilities. I even saw some capabilities I didn't know existed in Managed Instance today in your previous slide. So looking forward to learning a little bit more about some of the things that were flashed there, like a sneak preview. So I thought it'd be great if we started with things around compatibility and things that make migration easier. And for that, Borko, I thought we'd bring Mladen on to share with us.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. So there were so many things to show and tell that we decided to split the overview into multiple areas or value streams, how we call them. And we are starting, as Anna said, from the SQL Server compatibility and seamless migration. Now, before I start, let me just quickly explain the frame that we are going to use through the rest of the session. So what you can see on the screen is a vertical timeline divided into three parts. So the past, that's the available section containing some of the capabilities that we introduced during calendar year 2020. Announcing section, that's the present time, right? Or features being announced these weeks. And coming soon section covers upcoming capabilities that are going to be introduced over the next couple of months. And like where we are going to invest more time explaining are the green items, because those are the ones that we introduced very recently. So let's start going through these items. I'm starting from the machine learning services. The preview has been announced back in September. So with machine learning services, you can run both R and Python scripts to perform data preparation or general data processing, or you can train your machine learning models within the database where your data actually resides. Or if you have your existing machine learning models, what you can do is basically to deploy them to the managed instance in form of a stored procedure and then run them there on the existing data in the managed instance. In the future, with the additional integration capabilities with other Azure services, you will be able also to reach to the data in blob storage, data lake, and so on. The next feature is related to migration of solutions involving SQL Server reporting services to Azure. If you're preferring fully managed software as a service solutions, then your best pick would be to move your existing SQL Server reports to the Power BI premium service, and stop taking care of any of the management activities. However, if you prefer to still host your reporting services in Azure, for example, in your Azure VM, now what we introduced recently is that you can host these catalog databases, two very important databases that SSRS runs on within managed instance. Just to explain a bit more about that, SQL Server 2019 introduced native support for hosting these catalog databases of SSRS within managed instance. However, we now enabled also managed instance to host these databases for the older versions of SQL Server. So basically, if you have a little amount of time and you have to migrate quickly and you don't have time to migrate to SQL Server 2019 for reporting services, you can now stay on your previous version like 2016 or 2017, host this SSRS in a VM in Azure, and then host these catalog databases in managed instance. And of course, use the data and query the data from managed instances from these reports. The next feature that I would like to quickly touch upon is our distributed transactions. So these distributed transactions now available in managed instance are a great example of a feature that at the same time unblocks the migration of the existing applications from the on-premises. However, it also unlocks possibilities for creating a brand new modern applications using these capabilities. But I want to go more into the details because my colleague Sasha will talk about this in a couple of minutes. I would like to mention the log replay API. So that's something that is coming very soon. Dani will talk more about that in a minute. I just wanted to say briefly about that. So this is something that we already have been using internally in our migration tools for quite some time, and we are now exposing that to our customers. But more about that later. And finally, I would like to talk a little bit about cross-instance service broker. So service broker is a really powerful component of SQL Server that basically brings native and built-in capabilities of reliable messaging and queuing. Now, regardless of whether you already have some applications using Service Broker on premises, for example, something with a multiple self-contained services exchanging messages between the databases behind these services, or if you are planning to build some modern solutions, Service Broker is really a very powerful component that will help you in both of these cases. Now, Managed Instance previously supported exchange of these messages within the same within databases of the same instance. However, we now do support exchange of messages across the instances. And thanks to the certificate-based security, these instances can be placed like virtually anywhere in the world, in any of Azure regions, within the different subscriptions, different regions, as I mentioned, and even within different Azure AAD tenants. So another example of a building block that could help you build powerful distributed applications. Now, speaking of distributed, I would like to hand over to my colleague Sasha to tell us more about distributed transactions.
Hello, everyone. So, distributed transactions for Azure SQL Managed Instance have been in public preview since October 2020. So it's a new capability. This capability is useful. It unlocks migration to Azure for apps that already use this on premises. And it also enables new development scenarios. So modern applications, they often need to utilize multiple managed instances and databases and partition data horizontally or vertically. So in all these cases, distributed transactions are useful and needed feature. Managed instances can reside in different regions and in different virtual networks. We have cross-instance collaboration secured with Server Trust Group entity. And we are starting this preview with Managed Instance as the only supported transaction participant, and with .NET and T-SQL as supported application layers. A bit later, we will see the demo, and I would like to hand over to Anna and Dani.
Awesome, thanks, Sasha. You know, this is something that folks have been asking for a long time. So it's great to hear that it's coming in preview, or it has landed in preview, and we'll look forward to seeing it in action in a bit. Dani, I'd love if you could take us a little bit deeper into the log replay service. I know this is something that, like Mladen mentioned, has kind of been helping us internally. I wasn't aware that we were planning on kind of making this available. What does this mean for our customers?
Certainly. If you can maybe look at my slide, I'd like to present log replay service, something they've been using internally so far to power data migrations using DMS from SQL Server to Managed Instance. And now we're exposing this technology externally because we've listened to the customers and we like to make it possible for customers to customize their migration experience. So this technology is based on the existing SQL log shipping, which is well known in the industry. It is database scoped, meaning that you can move database per database. So you're full in control of the entire migration process, and you can cut over when ready. So how does it work? As the first step, you would use your source, which is your SQL Server hosted anywhere. It could be on-prem, in a data center, in Azure VM, or in other clouds. You would set up the log shipping from your SQL Server to Azure Blob Storage as a continuous job. So this would run every couple of minutes and would ship the backup logs to Azure Blob Storage. And from there, you would start the log replay service, which would pick up those logs and replicate them onto the managed instance. And essentially, this way you would have synchronization of data from the SQL Server to managed instance. During this replication time, the database is being replicated. However, it is not visible to customers. And when you're ready to cut over, when you make sure that everything is working fine, then the last step using log replay service is to initiate a cutover, and your DB will be visible in the cloud on MI. And this is how we are empowering our customers to build their own migration solutions.
Awesome. Thanks, Dani. I think this is really cool because we're saying, hey, this technology worked really well for us. We're going to actually release it so you can kind of build it into your custom workflows to help you in migrating. And this is something I hear a lot of requests for. So really exciting to hear it. Thanks, Dani. And next, Dani, I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. You know, this next set of improvements. So believe it or not, viewers, like that was just one set of improvements. I think we have like 4 or 5 more sets of improvements. But this next set of improvements is what Bob Ward and Connor Cunningham refer to as the meat and potatoes of SQL Server. And, you know, when they say that, they're talking about performance, security, and availability. So the Managed Instance team is doing a lot in all of these spaces. But I thought, you know, Dani, can we start by talking about some of the exciting recent performance updates?
Exactly. And before I jump into the performance, I just like to mention that and it all comes into performance as well, that we have considerably improved backup options available in Managed Instance in terms of the improved compression. So there's nothing that you need to do. The better compression will be enabled automatically. And we have enabled some backup cost optimizations that I will talk about further in our presentation. Another cool improvement that we made is global VNet peering. As you're perhaps aware, Managed Instance is deployed in a secure VNet, and it is now possible for you to connect VNets to separate VNets using Azure Backbone. Earlier, you had to do it through gateways, through routing through your own on-prem or data center, but now we have enabled this connection to go directly through Azure, making your failover group scenarios much easier. Finally, big improvements in terms of performance. There has been improvements on both GP and BC service tier. In GP per instance, we're having a significant increase from 22 megabits per second to 120 megabits per second for increased log rate. And then in this table, you see per database new limits. In order to get this tweaked, you need to increase the size of your files. And you get all this for free, so no additional cost. On BC, again, for the same cost, getting better bang for the buck, we've increased the log rate from 48 to 96 megabytes per second and 2.5K and IOPS from 2.5K to 4K. What I'm going to show lastly are the test results. So running the industry standard TPCC and TPCH tests, we see 2 to 3x significant improvements on both service tiers. If you pay attention to the link in the lower left corner, and because this is going to get recorded, you can also rewind. That's where you can find out more information about this particular improvement.
Awesome. Dani, this one seems like pretty big. It seems like, you know, at no additional cost, you can just kind of be faster, which is huge.
Exactly.
You know, I do have a question, like, what do customers need to do, you know, if they have an existing MI to take advantage of these capabilities?
So literally, they just continue using it. The only thing that it might consider doing on GP is to increase their DB file sizes to get the respective speeds as indicated in this little table. That's it.
Awesome. So apart from that small tweak that they might need to make, they're just going to wake up one day, or maybe they've already woken up. And
they already have it. It's already out there. Yeah, it's already out there.
Awesome. Cool. That's awesome, Dani. You know, you talked briefly about some of the backup compression and backup cost optimization. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Certainly. So what we've done at the backend, and there's nothing you need to do about it, we made a better backup compression, about 30%. What this means that your cost for the access backup usage is going to be lower, and that's all automatically provided to you. Further, we have put in some additional knobs for you to fine-tune your backup retention. So earlier, you could retain your backups, your short-term backups from 7 to 35 days. And now we're making it possible to fine-tune your need for having backups or active databases from 1 to 35 days. And in addition, we have included a new knob, the ability to set the retention period for deleted database. So once you delete a database, you can set up the retention period from 0 to 35 days. 0 would essentially mean that you do not need that backup. And that might be useful, let's say, for large databases, doing analytical workloads, and essentially data that you do not need. But by not keeping the backup, that's how you optimize your backup costs. And finally, we have made this very significant improvement in terms of empowering the customers to choose the type of storage for their backup needs. So earlier, we only had GRS, which is global redundant storage. That means that your backups are replicated in 2 regions, so globally, for the safety reasons. However, and that type of backup storage is, of course, the most expensive. However, now we're making it possible for customers to choose at the time of provisioning managed instance, zone redundant storage and locally redundant storage. So zone would contain multiple backups within a zone that your managed instance resides, and local redundant storage means that the backups would reside only on the local MI. This is not only important from the backup cost optimization, but also from the data residency, because you control where your data is in terms of the backup. And lastly, if you look at the link I've provided below, that's where you can find more information.
Awesome, thanks, Dani. Again, a lot of things that customers have been asking for, and we're putting right back into the product. So it's really cool
exactly
to see that. I think next we're going to take a look at a few of the capabilities we've looked at so far with Sasha, I'm sorry, in a demo. I think I have that right. Sasha, is it demo time or?
Yes, it's right. It's demo time. So as I mentioned, distributed transactions are useful for migrations of existing applications to Azure, and also for the new development scenarios. So modern applications often need to split their data, either to overcome limitations of individual instances, for example, storage size limitation, or they need to do distribute the data across geographies to achieve better latency and performance. We call these applications and databases sharded applications. In this demo, we will use .NET library called Elastic Scale. And with this library, what it does is it sets up the sharding and assigns different tenants to the shards. And also, when applications need to connect to a certain tenant, they use this library to get the right connection. So we will show several scenarios where distributed transactions play important role. Let's briefly explain the architecture of our demo application. This app deals with customer orders and product deliveries across the globe. We have several shards. These are instance 1 and instance 2. In these shards, we typically have 2 types of data. It is local data, which in our case is customers and their orders. And we have master data, main data that is copied. We have a copy of this data in each of the shards in each instance. So our local clients, for optimal performance, they typically connect only to the local shard and use data in the local shard. We have one example here and the other example here. And we have a set of admin applications. These applications are in charge of maintaining the master data in all shards, and they also maintain the shard map database. So when we have a new client, a new tenant, admin application is assigning it to a certain shard. So in order to have all this working, typically globally distributed instances are on different virtual networks. So we need to set up VNet peering between them. And we also need to set up a server trust group in order to have distributed transactions working. So let's see how this setup works.
Awesome.
So I have one virtual network here, and I will go to peerings in settings section, and I will add new peering. So I need to give it a name. This workflow is automatically setting up the peering in the opposite direction. So we give name for that one as well. And we will choose the second virtual network name. And we are ready to add this peering.
Awesome.
While this is happening,
Sasha, can you make it a tiny bit bigger? Sorry.
Okay, let me see if this will work. Okay, just a moment.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, and while this is happening, I will go to Managed Instance to set up a server trust group. Okay,
so Sasha, while you're setting up the server trust group, can you tell us a little more about how it relates in this scenario?
So in this scenario, what server trust group is doing, it is setting up certificate-based trust between the instances. So under the hood, all instances in the group, they exchange certificates. And after that, distributed transactions can work in a secure fashion. So here it is. I gave it a name, and I have chosen the other instance, and I will click save, and it will work. So in order to save time, I will switch to the demo application that is already connected to another pair of instances where all this is already set up. So what we have here is, let's quickly take a look. We have local client application connected to West Europe shard. And here we see products, that's the master data. And we see customers and orders, which are local data for this shard. We have North Europe application, and this one has identical products. And customers and orders are local for North Europe. And in the first demo, what we are going to do, we want to add a new product. So in a single transaction, we want to add it both to West Europe and North Europe shard. So in order to do that, this admin script will call store procedure create new product. Let's take a look at the code. So what the store procedure does, it begins distributed transaction, performs insert into the local shard, then uses linked server to perform insert in the remote shard, and commits the transaction. So let's see it in action. We will execute this, and we have new product in both shards. The second demo that we will see is a bit more complex. So what we want to do here, we want to use this admin application to move tenant customer 102 from West Europe to North Europe. So what will happen here is we will move all the data related to this customer to the North Europe. So both data from customers table and from orders. And Within the single transaction, we will also update the shard map. So here we see the metadata from this shard map. So we see that customers in the range of hundreds are all attached to the West Europe, and customers in the range of 200s, they are mapped to North Europe. So when we run this move tenant in a single transaction, and let's quickly take a look at the code snippet. So in .NET, we create new transaction scope. It will map to distributed transaction. We will move the tenant data. We will delete the old mapping and create new mapping. And with the scope complete, we will mark transaction as successful, so it will be able to commit. So let's see that in action. So from West Europe to North Europe, we are moving tenant 102. So it has moved to North Europe, its order has moved, and we see here that mapping is no longer in West Europe, but it's in North Europe.
Awesome, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and with this, I would wrap up the demo and hand over to you, Anna, and Dani again.
Awesome, thanks so much, Sasha. You know, it's really cool to see, because you combined a few of the new technologies, not just DTC, but also this global VNet peering, which is making it a little bit better for our customers in a few ways. So thanks so much, Sasha. We are moving onward and forward through the many updates that we have related to Managed Instance. If you're just joining us live, be sure to tweet at us, use Twitch, use LearnTV, comment, let us know your questions, because we can answer them in the chat, and we can also answer them live near the end of this session. Okay, so we've talked about some of the latest updates related to compatibility and migrations. We also talked about some performance enhancements. You just saw a really cool demo from Sasha. And now we're going to continue on talking about the meat and potatoes and talk about BCDR, or business continuity and disaster recovery. And for that, I'm going to bring Dani back up to talk us through some of the many updates that we've been working on in that space. Thanks, Dani.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And if you want to have a look at my slide, there is a group of features related to BCDR that we have delivered in this period. These are all G8 features. So geo-restore provides a capability for you to restore a DB from another region from one region to the other. That's in case that region is down. You can get back up and running in another region, provided that you're using GRS storage, as mentioned earlier, is one of your backup storage options. We're enabling PITR for point-in-time restore for deleted databases, and that enables you to recover a database that you might, or databases that you might have accidentally deleted. Accelerated database recovery is also provided, all built in. It enables the recovery of databases to be much faster, that is instantaneous, and there is no longer need to wait for long rollbacks. Rollback is instantaneous. And finally,
hey Dani, sorry to interrupt. Could you share your screen? We seem to have lost it on our end, and I don't want folks to miss these new things.
Certainly.
Thank you. Awesome.
Should be good now.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep, we're good.
So these are the things that I've mentioned in BCDR space. And then finally, cross-instance PITR, cross-instance point-in-time restore, provides this amazing ability to move your DBs, your backups from one instance to the other. As we're making automated backups on every managed instance, now it is possible within the same subscription to restore those backup on another MI, really adding to this BCDR scenario significantly.
Awesome, that's really cool. I didn't know that cross-instance point-in-time restore was a thing, so it's cool to learn about it. Is there any other items in this space that you all have been working on?
we can't disclose that at this time, but there are going to be some pretty cool things coming related to even greater data mobility.
Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to having you back on. I'm gonna take note of this, that you're gonna come back on when we have some more updates that you can share with us. In the meantime, I know there are some security and compliance related things you all have been working on. Are there some things you can share with us in that space?
So this is, I think, Srdan is the guy for it.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Okay, sorry, Dani. All right, so we're going to kick Dani off. We're going to bring Srdan on, and we're going to talk about security and compliance. Welcome, Srdan. You know, I was trying to pass off all your hard work to Dani, but, you know, I think I think you're the better guy to do it.
No, we work together really in a great way. So no worries about that. And if you see my screen now, there are these some of these improvements that you talked about listed here. So basically, from the security perspective, there is this TLS 1.2 enforcement, and we are actually enabling our customers to choose to use the latest cipher suits when connecting to their managed instances, making their environment overall more secure. And we plan to continue doing that in the future with next TLS iterations. This is not just a security thing, but also it's important from the compliance perspective, I would say, because many regulated industries you require to use kind of the latest and strongest cipher suits as well. And when we are talking about this compliance thing, I think that many of our users would be happy to learn that we finally have long-term backup retention in preview. Because all of those customers, they have this requirement, like often like 10-year period, you know, to keep their backups. And until now, they had to do these copy-only backups. So we provided the option, but this is really kind of platform as a service thing, and it really looks great. When we are kind of talking about the backups, it's also we started supported backup data residency. Dani had a chance to talk about it before, but I would just kind of clarify that this choice is also from the compliance perspective very important, because when we are talking about the Azure paired regions, they're sometimes kind of more paired from the technical perspective, but from the geography perspective, there are requirements that data stays locally. And on this front, we also not just kind of bring more compliance things to our audience, but we also try to ensure that their configuration always is kind of compliant with the requirements of our service, and that these compliance are as most restrictive as possible, so that security footprint would be best. And with that, we have this service-aided subnet configuration feature, where we kind of keep our customers' subnet where managed instance is deployed always aligned with the kind of latest subnet security configuration there. So really a good thing. One thing even better is that on top of this subnet configuration and service endpoints, we bring service endpoint policies. This is something that is coming soon, and it's really great because it would enable our customers to define policy and basically define a set of storage accounts where customers could connect from managed instance, obviously over this private IP space. So for example, me as a customer could set up and say, okay, only accounts and this subscription should have access, or only accounts in this resource group, and kind of single accounts could be put there as well.
A quick question, Srdan.
Sure.
What scenarios would these service endpoint policies be best for? Like, what type of customers or customer scenarios are using those?
Yeah, glad that you asked that. So basically, there are multiple scenarios, really, kind of where SQL is connected to storage. One of these scenarios would be these when customers want to do copy-only backups. The other scenario is this exciting scenario that Dani already talked about, and this is these log shipping scenario where actually these logs are on this temporary storage, and then customers want to kind of lock down the access to the certain storages. Then auditing is, well, another example. Bulk insert, another one. So really, kind of when you're talking about SQL and storage, there is really a tight integration, and we want to keep these Azure services in a very closed loop, basically. So with that, we're just kind of moving to Azure AD directory readers, and I would kind of have a separate slide on that. This is, I would say, a long-waited thing for most of our customers that would like to use Azure AD authentication as a form of passwordless, I would say more secure and more preferred way of authentication, and customers that operate in their regulated industries. The thing here is that we kind of we heard a lot about this feature, and we tried to really simplify it. So basically, before this feature landed, it was required by global admin to approve each and every managed instance to use Azure AD authentication. And now this is really a well simplified. Instead of approving each and every managed instance, global admin could delegate that privilege basically to a group, and then members of that group could add additional managed instance into this directory reader's role. So, which was once kind of tedious setup, now it's pretty way simplified. It's kind of one-off engagement with tenant admin, and from there everything really goes smooth.
Awesome. Thanks so much. This is awesome to hear about. Personally, this is something I've been hearing a lot about from customers. So I know folks are going to jump right on this opportunity. So thanks for sharing it with us. Next, we're going to bring Dani back up. Hopefully it's Dani and not Srdan. Hopefully we're bringing Dani back up.
Hey there.
And sorry, Dani, I put you on the spot earlier. But we're going to talk about monitoring and manageability. And I think this is really going to be important for our SQL Server people because they're used to having control. That's a lot of the reasons why they land in Managed Instance. So would love to hear from you what's new in that space.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope that you can see my slides now. So we've done a significant number of improvements in the monitoring space. We're making it now possible for folks who already have SCOM monitoring environment to monitor managed instances as well, which is awesome for legacy applications in hybrid scenarios. We're making it better now to actually set up alerting and manage them from Portal. It's built into the MI Blade in Azure Portal, and we're making it easier now from the Azure Portal to query log analytics for those folks who are using log analytics for alerting and monitoring. Further, we're improving the manageability area by offering customers possibility to execute user-initiated failovers to test their application resiliency, and I will talk about it more in one of the next slides. And finally, coming soon, we've realized that we want to do better in terms of resource health monitoring, and we're going to be making some improvements in this space such that you are well aware of your health state of managed instance. With this, I would like to briefly expand upon the SCOM management pack for MI. The management pack is free of charge, downloadable through our website for all those folks using the SCOM environment. Install it, plug it in, and monitor your existing SQL resources and MI at the same time. It just works. For more information, please see the link shared below in terms of the other options available besides SCOM to monitor managed instance, for example, SQL Analytics and other tools that we have available. So click on the link below for your comprehensive guide on the MI monitoring. Finally, I'd like to talk about a really, really cool feature, a cool scenario that we're making available. And that is we're now enabling customers to manually initiate failovers on managed instance. Why is this important? Failovers are part of our service, PaaS, platform as a service, because during the software updates, which we do regularly on managed instance, for a brief amount of time, there is a failover, and for a brief amount of time of just a couple of seconds, there is an availability to an application when we switch from one node to the other. How that works, I'm going to show for GP and BC service tiers. For GP, it's a single node MI, as you can see in the diagram. And upon a failover, what we do is we take one of the spare nodes from the pool of available nodes, and we switch over to a new node. This failover is built-in high availability of GP managed instance. The failover is transparent, meaning that the application does not need to change any connection strings or any DNS settings. It's just automagical, as I like to say it, for an application. However, in order for applications to be cloud applications to work well in the cloud, customers would need to implement a retry logic to be resilient to these failovers. So we're now making it possible for customers to test this. On the MI BC tier, because BC tier is more robust, it has always-on availability implemented, which we see with SQL on-prem. So with MIBC, this is what you get. You get always on in a single package. An application can use the primary replica for reads and writes and could use secondary replicas for read only. Upon the failover, as in always on, what happens is if we're failing over the primary, the secondary and primary switch the place, and we're also making it possible for applications who are using read-only also to fail over the secondaries to test this fully on the BC service tier. So with this, it is a PowerShell command. Please follow the link shown below. It is possible to fully test your application resiliency in the cloud and make sure that your application is going to be purring just fine.
Awesome. Thanks, Dani. I think this is a really awesome capability that, again, just goes along with, like, we're trying to give more control. We're trying to make things easier. We're taking customers' feedback and actually implementing it right in the product. So
exactly.
That's awesome. Thanks
Please
so much.
Please keep it coming. Yep.
And next, we're going to bring out Uros, who has some new features and improvements around a few other topics. And I know we're getting close to the end, but you're going to want to stick around for this one. So over to you, Uros.
Thanks, Anna. This is definitely one another area that we have invested a lot so far. And the thing I want to start is something that was there for quite some time. And one thing is instance storage scaling, where your general purpose instance storage can be scaled in a mini time. And another thing is switching between hardware generations, which was especially important for our customers that were running Managed Instance on Gen 4 hardware, which is now the deprecation path, and that we advised to switch to Gen 5. So these are just some new scenarios that we were adding in our scaling space. Another thing that we invest a lot and that we are still investing is the reliability and speed of instance management operations. And as we speak, we are working on publishing some new documentation pages, and some updates related to the deployment times. So besides the scenarios and the reliability, the next important thing is the management operations transparency, where customers can fully monitor their deployment process, their scaling process, or if they're using if they have some scripts, they can enhance them with this management operations API that is publicly available, including the PowerShell and the CLI coverage. One more important thing in this area is the maintenance window feature that is coming soon in the preview mode, and that my colleague Mladen will cover more in details.
Awesome, thanks, Uros. This is a lot of stuff. I know the transparency, that's a huge one for our customers, along with these other updates. Finally, I'm going to bring Mladen up to talk to us a little bit more about these maintenance windows.
Thanks, Anna. Yes, so we wanted to finish this session by announcing another upcoming feature, a long-awaited feature, I would say, for Azure SQL, this time both for SQL Database and Managed Instance. This is a maintenance window, so let me quickly set up a stage for it. So Dani already did a great job sharing some of the best practices for applications running in cloud pertaining to the resiliency of these applications, retrial logic that every application should have within it. Now we are aware that there are also third-party and legacy solutions out there, and we are aware that not all of the solutions can do that overnight and build this resilience into applications. So that's why we came up with this maintenance window solution, and that's a set of predefined windows, preset windows that we are offering, and customers will be able to choose between those windows. We are following the most common usage patterns like weekdays or weekends, and of course, even though it is based on the weekly cadence, we are not going to use this each and every week. Basically, these maintenance events with causing failovers happen once or twice a month. Now, very quickly, since this is a preview, there is a couple of limitations. Like this is currently limited to the types of the subscriptions where typically customers would run production workloads like enterprise agreement, cloud solution provider, or pay-as-you-go solutions. And then we are starting with a subset of regions. Now, another important thing for people to know is that once you opt in for the maintenance window, you can expect a brief failover so we can onboard you to the feature. Like this is completely the same experience as, for example, if you are resizing your instance. Now, the last thing, there are very rare exceptions possible still, even though maintenance window is introduced, like once in a year or even less frequently. There might be some urgent security patches that are more important that we would have to immediately apply, and in those situations, maintenance window might not apply. So just to visualize this, what we are starting with, here are the two windows corresponding to the typical workload pattern. So one of them is weekdays, Monday to Thursday, and another one is weekends. So this is what we are starting preview with, and we may shrink these windows over time, and we might be adding additional windows. We will carefully analyze your feedback to come up with an optimal set of maintenance windows. So you as the customers are really encouraged to share your use cases with us so that we can define the final shape. With that, I think that we are pretty close to the end, and I would like to thank.
Awesome. Thanks you, Mladen. I think maintenance windows is huge for our customers, so I know people are going to be really excited so they can kind of plan for when these updates might happen. Now, in our final minute, I want to bring everyone back on. We've had a great show. We've jammed in so many updates. We're going to share more resources with you after this live session on Learn TV, our YouTube channel, on Twitter. So make sure you're following us on all of those platforms. Borko, do you have any closing words to close off this awesome session on Managed Instance?
Think that
Oh,
You must be
Borko, I
muted.
unfortunately cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry. So thank you, Anna, again for having us. And I just want to tell all the folks who attended, this is not an end of MI journey. An exciting year is ahead of us. So please stay tuned for new improvements and new announcements. And we hope to get again to this show and talk about these things.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take you back up on that, Borko, and the rest of the team. Thanks so much for joining us today. For our viewers, thank you for tuning in, whether live or recorded. We're happy to have you on the show. We're going to be starting to do these live shows every Wednesday starting in January 2021. With that, I want to thank you all again for joining us, and we hope to see you next time on Data
Thank you.
Exposed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.